Warning, this may be the most controversial video that I've ever produced, and you might be wondering what the heck it's all about. Well, here it is. Is apple juice worse than Coke? Well, we're gonna do a little experiment together, okay? So sit tight, and if you've got kids, you definitely want to pay attention. Bring your kids into this video as well to show them, to see what this is all about. All right, so why am I even doing this? The reason I'm doing this is because I've got 3 little kids, and if you have kids as well, you've probably brought them to parties or have been with parents who have thought that, oh, it's okay, you can have apple juice, which is supposedly healthier than having soda. So if you go to a restaurant, the server asks you what you want to have to drink, you say, you know what, I'm gonna give little Johnny some apple juice because we think that's healthier than getting a Coke. Well, that's not true at all. Let's do some math together. So if you will, I'm gonna take my little notepad out and my calculator on my iPhone. You can play along if you want as well. The reason I'm using my iPhone is because I can't actually do math in my head, so I'm using a calculator on this. So here's what we're gonna do. 2 completely different sizes of drinks, okay? 200 milliliters in this apple juice. It has 18 grams of sugar. So if we do some math here, I've already actually done the math, so I'm gonna give you the answer. We have 0.09 grams per milliliter of apple juice, okay? So 0.09 grams of sugar per milliliter of apple juice. If we do the same calculation on the Coke, 591 milliliters in this bottle, 70 grams of sugar. That works out to be 0.11 grams per milliliter of Coke. Okay, so 0.11 grams of sugar per milliliter of Coke. Now I've actually done this with other apple juices like Minute Maid, and the Minute Maid actually seems to be higher than this one here. So what I'm trying to get at is that there's the exact amount, the same amount of sugar in apple juice as there is in Coke. Exactly the same. So just let that sink in for a second. Okay, I'll give you a second. Pause. All right, we're back. So when you go to a restaurant or when you think that you're doing yourself or your kids a good thing by giving them apple juice, I really encourage you to think twice. Now, I'm not saying this is your fault. Again, this is not your fault. You probably didn't even know this before watching this video. So I'm not blaming you. I'm not blaming anybody. But now that you know this, you have a responsibility to make better choices. So what are some better choices than this? Well, the very simple one is water. Okay, water is the 0 calorie, 0 sugar drink, which is much better than these two. So what is the problem with sugar? Okay, now obviously we know that sugar, hopefully you know that sugar spikes your blood sugar, and that is a step 1 to the gaining of weight, because as we spike our blood sugar, we spike insulin, and insulin takes sugar out of the blood and stores it in your fat cells along with your muscles. But that's not all, and this is where things get a little bit more scary. Apple juice is very high in fructose. Coke and other sodas are also high in fructose. So when you look at the label and it says sugar, the actual word sugar, that is essentially a 50% molecule of glucose and 50% fructose. Fructose is a different molecule than glucose. Now, to make this very simple for you, your body wants glucose. It needs glucose to do what it does. Fructose has to be metabolized in your liver before it's converted into glucose. And what that means is that becomes a very laborious process for your liver. And the problem here is this. When you have too much fructose coming in at once, your liver can only handle so much of it. As a result, if there's too much coming in, your liver starts to spew off uric acid and triglycerides as byproducts. Uric acid and triglycerides are both big time markers for cardiovascular disease, let alone fatty acid deposits in your liver. So if you've heard of fatty liver disease, that actually has nothing to do with fat. It has to do with sugar or fructose metabolism in your liver that has churned out all these triglycerides that are now stuck in your liver. Now, if you want to look at the research, there are a ton of research papers on the detriments of fructose. Now, am I saying that fruit is bad? Fruit is not bad. The non-sweet fruit are generally better. Like berries, as an example, would be an amazing fruit. But what I am saying is that if you are juicing fruits, I would strongly encourage you not to. Okay, so if you're juicing copious amounts, even if it's at home, fresh juice, if you're juicing copious amounts of anything, pears, apples, watermelon, whatever, you are intaking a huge amount of fructose. which is going to put a lot of strain on your liver, and over time that can be a big problem. Okay, so instead you want to be focusing on juicing greens, kale, spinach, celery, stuff like that. And if you want a little bit of sweetness in there, you can throw in an apple or a pear. But please don't make your juices based on fruit. It can become a big issue. I talk about this extensively in Super Nutrition Academy, but there's been a number of studies that look at children and their consumption of fruit juices and the resulting weight gain that comes about as a result of that. It's actually pretty staggering. The families or the kids that were studied who drank juice more so than anyone else had a disproportionate amount of weight gain and fat gain on their body. So we know this stuff is happening in the body, and I'm putting this together because you need to know the truth. You need to know that apple juice and Coke are literally the same thing. Obviously there's some more nutrients in this. I mean, you're getting more vitamin C, that's pretty much about it. And obviously if you're not getting it from organic sources, there's always the arsenic issue with apple juice. So just something to think about, okay? So if you have any concerns about this, any questions, let me know below this video and let's get a nice conversation going. What do you guys think about apple juice? Is it good? Is it bad? After this, do you have any suggestions, any debatable topics or discussion points that you want to bring up? Let me know. And if you want some research, you can just go to Google Scholar or PubMed. You can type in dangers of fructose and you'll find tons and tons of studies showing that. So apple juice, Coke, no difference. Please put them aside and focus on water. Cool? Hope that helps. I'll see you in the next video. Now, the really cool thing about what we've done is that we use the juice powders, which means that it actually blends in water really nicely. And I actually recommend starting the glass with the greens powder, not the water.